Meanwhile, China and America's spy wars have intensified, the dawn of a new Cold War era, if you will. We are witnessing a new chapter in geopolitics, with great powers competing with each other for global dominance. Some old players and some new players, a world where information is being increasingly weaponized in the name of national security. Specifically, a world where global leader US faces a new era of power competition, one with a revisionist Russia and another with a rising and belligerent Beijing. With both China and the US boosting their counterintelligence efforts, spying has become an increasing flashpoint in the US-China relationship. Let's just understand what this means for the world. But first, here's an update. On Monday, Chinese authorities publicly accused a government worker of spying for the CIA. The country's civilian spy agency, the Ministry of State Security, said that it is investigating a cadre at one of its ministries. The man in question has been identified by the surname Hao. He was allegedly recruited by the CIA while he was studying in Japan. The 39-year-old Hao allegedly became acquainted with an official at the US Embassy in Japan. Hao met the American official, known as Ted, as per reports, through processing a visa application. Ted reportedly took Hao to dinner, gave him gifts, and asked for his help with a research paper. And then Ted introduced Hao to a colleague who worked at the CIA. Hao was then instigated into rebelling and signing the espionage agreement. And upon returning to China from Japan, Hao allegedly took a job working for a ministry in the Chinese government, and he then met with the US CIA agents to provide intelligence and collect espionage funds. The CIA and the US State Department are yet to respond on this development. Previously, it has been rare for China to publicly name antagonist organizations or countries, but this is the second case of alleged espionage this month, in which the government ministry has directly pointed towards the CIA. Hao's arrest comes almost a little over 10 days after the Chinese government announced the arrest of another Chinese national, Zheng Momo. Momo's arrest was announced on the 10th of August. He was also arrested on similar accusations of spying for the CIA. Momo was an employee at a military-industrial company with access to classified information. He was allegedly recruited by a CIA official in Italy. The statements on both the cases were released by the Ministry of State Security on WeChat, China's super app. The secretive agency, which oversees intelligence and counterintelligence, has taken to warning the Chinese public against espionage. The Chinese ministry has called on the citizens to join the fight against espionage. It also offered rewards and protection for those who provide information. And they're all part of the Chinese effort to ramp up anti-espionage efforts. It started with the passing of the new anti-espionage law that took effect in July, and it has been criticized by the US and others for going too far. They say that the Chinese law's sweeping definition of espionage activities could ensnare foreign companies conducting legitimate business. In recent years, in fact, China has arrested dozens of Chinese as well as foreign nationals on the suspicion of spying. It sees itself under threat from spies. It comes as Western countries, mostly the US, accuse China of espionage and cyber attacks. It is a charge that Beijing has vehemently rejected. Now, it must be noted that the Chinese leader, Xi Jinping, has made national security a key priority. It is meant to counter what Xi Jinping sees as growing threats from foreign forces, especially the United States. Meanwhile, America sees China as one of the greatest intelligence threats to the West. Remember, both the US and China have long spied on each other, but the recent worsening in the ties has supercharged the rivalry. Earlier this month, 2 US Navy sailors were arrested in California US, for allegedly providing sensitive US military information to Chinese intel officers. And before that, in June, the US accused Chinese hackers of accessing the email accounts of the US State and Commerce Departments. American officials say China has planted malware in networks controlling power, water, as well as communication at the military bases. And let's not forget the diplomatic showdown that went down when a Chinese spy balloon was found hovering over the US airspace earlier this year. The US used a fifth-generation F-22 fighter jet to shoot that down. China denied it was a spy craft, but the drama opened the world's eyes into the epic intelligence war. As these espionage dramas continue to unfold, one cannot help but wonder, are we witnessing the beginning of a new Cold War of a different kind, with China and the US at the forefront of a global intelligence power struggle? Is history repeating itself, or are we entering uncharted territory? With tensions escalating and both the sides stepping up their counterintelligence efforts, what kind of impact will this have on the world stage? Only time will reveal the answers as this high-stakes game of espionage and geopolitics continues to play out. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the updates on the move.